This was amazing to witness as the Boston Celtics, after going on a two-game road trip, were able to come back and get some big wins in the TD Garden as they were able to take down the San Antonio Spurs with some great performances throughout the roster. Joe Mazzulla saw his newest member of the team, and Torrey Craig, also get some valuable minutes, and we saw this Celtics team put on a great performance throughout. We're going to be breaking down all of that and more on this episode of Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Velez, and you guys have been absolutely fantastic, showing your love and support on the channel, which has been super, super appreciative over the last couple of weeks, which I've been super, super thankful for. Without further ado, though, we're going to dive in and get into all the news that you guys want to hear about with this Celtics team. So make sure to grab that snack and let's get into it. As like I mentioned, this was absolutely amazing to see with this Boston Celtics squad. As I broke down on the live stream today, we were hoping to see a big victory versus the San Antonio Spurs, where Jayson Tatum was going to do a little bit of everything for this squad, where Derrick White was going to have a big game. You're going to see Kristaps Porziņģis go in a very cool matchup versus Victor Wembanyama, and we saw a lot of fun stuff in this contest. But like I mentioned, Boston Celtics came out and beat the San Antonio Spurs 116 to 103. And the Spurs did have some runs here in the third quarter where they were able to shrink a 26-point lead that the Celtics did have in the first half down to right about around 10 or 8. But the Celtics were able to continue to push that lead out with a big start to the fourth quarter with big threes from Peyton Pritchard and Kristaps Porziņģis. And overall, a dominant performance from this team offensively led them to perform to get this victory. Like I said, with this Celtics squad, we saw Jayson Tatum, who did struggle from the free throw line, as that would be one of the main caveats for the Celtics team, were turnovers and free throws. Besides that, the Celtics were able to hold their own. We saw Tatum, like I mentioned, 4 for 14 from three-point range, but 12 for 25 from the field, 14 rebounds, 7 assists, like I mentioned, doing everything and in between for this Celtics squad with no Jaylen Brown and no Jrue Holiday to get the job done. A plus 12 in tonight's efforts with 32 points is an A plus in my book. Sam Hauser and Al Horford were the two guys to get into the starting lineup with no Jaylen Brown and no Jrue Holiday, as Holiday is still dealing with that shoulder issue, which we'll get into some future video topics. But Brown was listed out tonight, probably for some rest for the All-Star break. So Hauser and Horford were thrown in there. And Horford, we saw have a big performance in the last game versus the Miami Heat, where he clipped 10 points. And once again tonight, he was a +4 with 10 rebounds and very, very solid on the defensive side with 2 blocks, playing great defense on Victor Wembanyama, and once again showcasing that he can guard some of the elite bigs in Giannis Antetokounmpo and Victor Wembanyama. Porzingis was absolutely shocking everybody as well. 10 for 16 from the field, 3 for 4 from three-point range, 6 for 9 from the free throw, 6 rebounds, but absolutely had a dime of a pass. And I loved this double big lineup that the Celtics were running to combat against this big player in Victor Wembanyama. Derrick White also was effective for the Boston Celtics in a +11, 7 for 16 from the field with 7 rebounds, doing it all versus his former team. We saw Luke Cornett, even though he only was 1 for 1 from the field, be a +10 with 2 points and 4 rebounds, 1 assist, getting his only point being a put-back slam, which was absolutely ferocious. Peyton Pritchard, even though his stat lines showed 2 for 10 from three-point range, those 2 threes came late in the game, which was key. And Torrey Craig got his first minutes for the Boston Celtics, and he heard that Celtics crowd roar. 9 minutes for Craig, 2 for 2 from the line, where both of those came in the first half. And I love to see Torrey Craig being an absolute green bean money machine for the Boston Celtics. And that's right, ladies and gentlemen. This Celtics team is still tough. It is still part of some of the elite. If we want to look at the San Antonio Spurs, De'Aaron Fox came into this team alongside Victor Wembanyama and tried to do some damage, but it just wasn't enough for this Celtics squad offensively. The shooters here for the San Antonio Spurs were not doing great. They struggled from 3-point range if you want to look. 2 for 8 for Harrison Barnes, 1 for 6 for Wemby, 1 for 6 for Chris Paul, 1 for 3 for Fox, over 4 for Vassell. Only one 3-pointer made by everybody on the team. Harrison Barnes, the only one to make more than one 3-pointer. And with the Celtics, obviously, playing pretty solid from 3-point range, having multiple guys getting 4 and 3, and being able to stop Victor Wembanyama and play some pretty solid defense in the interior against the squad, which was very, very nice to see. And like I said, this Celtics squad is a top tier team. There's nothing to be afraid about. There's nothing to be worried about. And I'm ultimately ecstatic to see what we saw. Like I mentioned, Kristaps Porziņģis had that beautiful behind the back pass. But not only just that, was able to score and work on Victor Wembanyama down low. We had a nice little move where he had a little couple pivots, was able to use his pivot foot, get and score a nice under the basket. We saw Luke Cornett get a big time dunk. We saw Porziņģis hit some threes. Recently has been that Latvian laser from 3-point range. And tonight we got to see that once again. I'm really liking what I'm seeing with this Celtics squad. Everyone's proving to be a top tier player for this squad. I don't think there's anything too serious with Jaylen Brown. With Jrue Holiday, he's obviously been out for a couple games, and we'll be talking about that more in future videos. I think that that's something definitely to keep an eye on with this Boston Celtics team for this season and for next season. But obviously, as we know, Holiday has been a defensive anchor for this squad, and with him out on this roster, the Celtics team doesn't play necessarily 100% as they would on the defensive side, as he's a great vocal leader, POA defender, and I do believe that the Celtics do miss him on that end, even though his offense hasn't been as great as it was last year. But let me know what you guys think about this Celtics team so far. Like I had mentioned, they got a big win here versus the San Antonio Spurs, and now we are going into the All-Star break. So what is there really to look forward to? Well, there's obviously Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown making the All-Star game, which is going to be absolutely fantastic to see. And we also saw JD Davidson be a part of that Rising Star squad as well. So hopefully JD Davidson's team could win the Rising Stars competition, be able to be that 4th team in the All-Star game, which would be really, really cool to see as well, to have 3 potential Celtics in the All-Star game. Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown on the same team for the All-Star game. That's going to be nice to see. It's also going to be great for guys like Jrue Holiday, who's been dealing with this injury, to get that much-needed rest. For guys like Kristaps Porziņģis and Al Horford, who have been on these pretty nice heaters over this last couple stretch, to get that rest. Derrick White to get that rest. Sam Hauser and Peyton Pritchard to get that rest, to really get back into the swing of things for this second half of the year. Celtics, as we know it right now, currently sitting 39 and 16, looking very, very solid going into the All-Star calendar. Maybe not as great of a record as they were last season, but still a top-tier contender in the Eastern Conference. I'm looking forward some great things coming through with this Celtics team, and I want to know what you guys think down below in the comment section. I personally forgot it was All-Star weekend this weekend, so in the live stream today, we were kind of going over the Celtics record. Well, guess what? They only had one game this week post All-Star thing, and guess what? They went 1-0, which was nice to see. They did go undefeated, like I did think. But yes, the next couple of games will be coming up. Celtics next matchup is Thursday, the 20th. So the Celtics having an 8-day game rest. It'll be nice to see how they kind of take that, kind of see how they bounce back coming out of that slump. I want to know what you guys think. Let me know down below in the comment section. Like I said, this was amazing to witness. Celtics come out versus San Antonio Spurs, a nice team in the Western Conference that has made some moves, looking to be on the rise, and pretty solidly handled them for a most part of this game. The Spurs had some runs throughout, but the Celtics were able to control that, were able to neutralize that, and not let the Spurs get any really close of realm in that second half to really take over and be able to make Celtics fans really worried, which was nice to see. Celtics have kind of gotten out of that little defensive and offensive rut that they were seeing at the start of the season at the end of December, which is also beautiful to see. And I think that we're getting ourselves into the nice swing of things, into the next direction post All-Star break. Torrey Craig as well. Fantastic to see him really get an opportunity and him look good in the opportunity. I'm excited to see what Joe Mazzulla brings with him looking forward. Like I said, if you guys enjoy the content, let me know what you think down below in the comment section. Hit a like button, hit the subscribe button. Make sure to stay tuned as we'll be pumping out content even with the All-Star break coming up. We'll still be having stuff to talk about with this Celtics team. So, like I said, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your night, and go Boston Celtics.